you got a pretty good limited miles. You ran for 800 plus. How do you feel like maybe your numbers and running back numbers will look?
Hopefully, we work hand in hand. You know, the running backs have more rushing yards than me, but I still contribute in my own way to bring another dynamic to open them up and also open up the offense and make plays. You know, as I should. You know, continue to make plays and not get outside my game. Stay within the frameworks of my game. But obviously, you know, the running back group is special. We have a lot of talent in that room. You know, I'm excited to see what they do.
Jayden, for those of us who don't get to see Harold Perkins every day, can you describe what it's like to go up against that kind of practice?
It's great going up against such a talented player like Harold. In practice, the plays that he makes is ridiculous. How athletic he is, how twitchy he is. You know, when he's rushing the passer, you know, he gets good work against our offensive line. But, you know, Harold's just, he's everywhere. And, you know, he can run down a running back. He can run down a receiver. He's just a special type of player.
Does he know who MJ is yet?
Who, Harold?
Yeah.
I hope so.
Jayden, very transferring quarterbacks all over the SEC now. You were one yourself. What's something you learned about the SEC coming in, and has it kind of met your expectations from the kind of career?
What I learned was really how tough and grueling the schedule really is. You're going against the type of talent you're going against each and every week, and also having to deal with just away games, the hostile crowd, the environment that you go to. So that's something that I learned, and it actually met what I thought the SEC was, but also exceeded it to another level.
Following up on that, what's the toughest environment in the SEC to play?
Probably Auburn or Florida. I mean, just those two environments. Early in the season, you know, they're sold out. They got a lot to look forward to, and just going out there and playing against Florida, I probably lean more towards Florida, just the history of the swamp and everything, and how the fan base is right on top of you, talking a lot. So, you know, that's probably the hardest one I went to.
Jayden, there was a lot of attention given to the play in the SEC title game when Jalen Carter lifted you off the ground. I guess you've had plenty of questions and time to reflect. Can you kind of go through that in the moment? And then also, Coach Kelly said afterward he didn't really feel like the divide was that big, and he even referenced Georgia today. Can you share with how close you think you guys are to being able to win this league?
I'll say, well, answer your question, Jalen Carter's a great player. In the moment, I didn't know what was going on. You know, I could just feel him trying to pick me up. I tried to put pressure on my ankle. I really couldn't. So he picked me up, and obviously, you know, it's a viral moment for their statement run that they made this year. And also, I just think we were that close to really winning the SEC. We're a couple plays away from competing with Georgia, the national champions, and I feel like we could win the SEC. And, you know, moving forward, if we handle things correctly, and, you know, we go about the process and we meet our standards.
Where do you feel like you're a better quarterback today than you were this time last year? Anything that stands out to you?
I would just say probably just being more comfortable within the system, knowing the system, knowing the players, knowing the coaches, going out there and really just trusting the process, doing the little things that I need to do to be a better player and be a better leader. As far as the quarterback standpoint, you know, probably just my leadership role that I took, that I was embraced upon them. Coming back and being the starting quarterback for LSU Tigers, you know, you got to be a leader and lead these guys to the standard that we set, that Coach Kelly has set. And, you know, there's no bad days as a quarterback. You got to go out there and you got to have good days, no bad days, or you could take a day off. You know, you got to give your effort every time.
What did you physically?
The system that y'all are running is much different from what you had at Arizona State. You said that a few times now. How is it different in your mind?
I'll just say what he asks more out of a quarterback. He demands a lot out of me as far as the scheme. Going out there and you got to find the matchups. You got to know where you're hot. You're thrust upon making the protection calls, change of protection calls. You just need to know the game within the game, and that's probably where it's different from Arizona State to now LSU. Just what he demands from the quarterback, and obviously, you know, it's very needed if I want to go out there for the next level and have a successful career at the next level also.
What did you learn of last year about what it physically takes to get to play at a high level in the SEC, and where have you sort of addressed that?
I mean, putting on more weight, obviously. For me, I had to put on more weight, even though I lasted through the season. You know, your body, you got aches and pains after a couple weeks in the season. You know, your body's not 100% once camp starts. So knowing how to take care of your body, and also putting on more weight, more armor, so I could absorb more of those hits.
Jayden, has NIL changed the stay or go decisions? If you have a COVID year or 50 year, maybe your fringe draft pick, has NIL changed that for players like yourself?
I wouldn't say I would focus too much on NIL. It's more so just the opportunity to put myself in the best position moving forward for the next level. Obviously, NIL is a big thing right now, and you know it's a great thing that the college athletes can go out there and make money off the name, image, and likeness. But for me personally, it was more so just putting myself in the best situation for me moving forward with my life after college. And also, I just wanted to come back and really just compete for a national championship.
Jayden, a lot of guys got drafted last year out of this league at quarterback. Do you feel like you're the best quarterback in this league this year?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm the best quarterback. I mean, I respect a lot of guys within the league and the SEC, and I feel like, you know, what they bring to the table is great. I want to just pinpoint down the best quarterback. And going out there, I see what I can do on a daily basis, and I got to go out there and prove it each and every week. Same with those guys, and I respect their game. I respect how they approach the game, and I love competing against the guys each and every week.
Jayden, last year, Coach Kelly talked about there was a crossroads after that Tennessee game last year, kind of leading into this offseason as well, what you guys going through. Can you talk about that, the transformation from losing that game to where you guys are at right now heading into 2022?
I mean, losing that game, obviously we wanted to win that game. It was a big game at home. And, you know, you go out there and you lose to a team like that, so great and high-powered, and we looked at it like an embarrassing loss. And we really just sat back and really said to ourselves as a team is how do we want our season to go? How do we want to finish our season? And, you know, we just made the choice to go out there and give it all we got each and every week, and, you know, it worked out in our favor.
Jayden, what impact has Patrick Mahomes had on your game, the way he played, and really all college quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, he changed the game just with his creativity. Very creative within his scheme and his offense and within his framework. What he does out there as a quarterback, he's very smart. He knows what's going on. Obviously, watching this series, the quarterback, you know, seeing what he does on a day-to-day basis and how serious it takes, and how much sacrifice you got to take to be a high-caliber player like that. You know, it's all respect to him.
You grew up watching him. A lot of guys your age. Do you imitate, or you just feel like you have more leeway to try stuff that's off schedule?
I mean, off schedule stuff is he made off schedule stuff cool. I wouldn't say I imitate him. You know, he's a great player. I try to take little tidbits from his game, but you know, still staying within the framework of me. You know, his arm talent is second to none. So, you know, some things that he could get away with that somebody else might not be able to.
Has there been an off-season moment where you were able to maybe see something or make a throw or a play that you maybe couldn't have a year ago, where you realized I'm making the leap, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, it was a couple plays within our play-around practices, going out there and really just be able to make some type of throws, tight windows and stuff like that, you know, where some of my DBs are like, oh yeah, like that's a good ball, like that's a tight window throw, it's a good ball. Where you put it any other place, you know, it's that little window that you have, you got to put it on the money. If not, it could be a deflection, an interception, something bad could happen. So I'll probably say it was a couple times like that when the DBs came to me and said I made some good throws.
Jayden, by the end of that FSU game last year, what have you learned about yourself?
What I learned about myself is that I got more to give, more to learn within the offense. You know, it's going out there, you still trying to figure out how the plays are called and how they're calling the plays. So for me, it was really just going out there and just knowing that I had more to learn.
A couple of years ago, when you were at Arizona State, Did you ever get frustrated there? Did you ever feel like you were overlooked at all by the national media and everybody that looks at the quarterbacks and says they're the best?
No, I mean, I don't really look at that. It's just the hand that I was dealt. Obviously, that's the school I chose to go to, and I would never change it for the world. Obviously, when I decided to enter the transfer portal, the reason why I entered the portal is because I knew I could play at a high level on the biggest stage in front of a lot of people watching. So that's probably the biggest reason why I transferred. But other than that, my time at Arizona State, like obviously you look at it like, I'm not getting the respect that I feel like I deserve. But obviously you're not playing against the best competition at the time, so people are not gonna rank you as high as others. So when I entered the transfer portal, that's why I decided to come to LSU, and LSU presented a great opportunity for me to come out here and play at a high level.
Do you feel much more prepared this year to go into that grinder after being through it last year?
I
do.
do.
Like you can play at the championship level, win a championship this year?
I do. I think that we can have a top offense in the country. I do think that we could compete for championships. Obviously going through the ringer for a year, you kind of get a gist of what's going on. Obviously, I'm going to play different away games this year that I haven't been to. But, I just feel like I know what it takes to prepare day in and day out to compete at a national championship level.
Jayden, you're one of those passing academy with a fellow SEC quarterback, Joe Milton. What stands out about his skill set, and then what do you think he'll do in Tennessee this season?
His arm strength is ridiculous. That's probably what stands out the most. How much zip he has on the ball, his velocity, very strong arm. And, with Tennessee, obviously, he waited after Hendon. He's a great player, great quarterback, and I'm excited to see what he does this year as a football fan and a fan of them. I respect his game, and I can't wait to see what he does this year.
And going off that, did you have any interactions with Devin Leary and get to know him at all while you were down there?
I did.
What did you think of him?
I did. Devin is also a great quarterback transferring from North Carolina State. So, like I said, I really respect all these guys, and I'm fans of their game. So I can't wait to see what they do this season.
What would be your advice to a guy like him who's coming into the conference the first time, kind of like you did last year?
You got to expect the unexpected. Prepare for everything. Probably where he was at is probably not this big of a magnitude as far as people come out here and supporting you and watching you play. All eyes are on you no matter what. If you have a bad game, don't let it get to you. If you have a good game, don't let it get to you. Just stay the same. And just give your team the best chance to win.
Hey Jayden, speaking of transfer quarterbacks, you spent a year with Walker Howard. He transferred to Ole Miss. What were your impressions of Walker, and what kind of a quarterback do you think he can be when he gets an opportunity?
I love Walker. Walker is like a little brother to me. He was my roommate when we stayed in the hotels. So you build those bonds with those type of guys. But I feel like when he gets his opportunity, he could be a great quarterback. He's very highly recruited for a reason. He has a lot of talent with him. He just needs a chance to go showcase it.
Does the team discuss EA Sports College Football, like just the return of the game modes you want to see, what your ratings might be, what the compensation? Do you guys talk about that game at all?
I mean, we don't really talk about it like that. Obviously, we know it's there, and I haven't played. Last time I played was obviously 2000 NCAA 14. It's probably the best game that I played up to this day. You have the most fun playing NCAA. Obviously, you grew up, you wanted to see yourself in the game. So having the opportunity to probably see yourself in the game, it's surreal, and it means a lot.
Who was your team back then?
I played with everybody, but probably around there, probably Oregon. Just with the uniforms and how good they were. Obviously, you can mix and match the uniforms, but also they're a very good team.
Jayden, what did you learn from your experience in the SEC title game last year?
I learned, that day Georgia was just a better team than us. They won the national championship for a reason. Obviously, it's the stuff that you take from the game that you did well, it's stuff that you could take from the game that you did bad. But at the end of the day, we just weren't. Georgia was just a better team than us.
Coach Kelly was asked about being compared to Georgia. What do you feel like it will take for you guys at LSU to reach that level to be a national title contender?
They bought into the process that Coach Kirby Smart over there. He set the standard. You know, there's a standard that's set over there, and they bought into it, and they follow the standard. You know, I know a couple people that go to Georgia, and we talk about how the standard that they have, how their practices go, their workouts are. And, you know, they bought in. You know, obviously Coach Smart, he wins at a high level, won back-to-back national championships. So obviously, you know, he has a recipe for winning.
Who are some of those guys you're close to?
I mean, it's a couple guys that I met, like Marvin Jones Jr., those type of guys on the defensive side. You know, asking them how it was going against me, and what do you think I could do better and this and that. You know, asking questions. So this is those guys.
What feedback did you get from them?
They say I'm very hard to tackle. You know, when I get moving. Other than that, they just say, you know, just go out there, just keep playing football.
Jayden, everybody talks about the SEC West being a lot stronger than the East, but you play one of the top teams in the East. How do you think Georgia compares to teams that you guys face every week in the West?
I mean, they're a special team. I mean, they're a two-time national champion for a reason. Obviously, people say the West is stronger because just the week in and week out of the teams that you face. But obviously, Georgia's been on top of college football for the past 2 years. So, I mean, they compare it to the Alabamas and stuff like that, where you got to breathe on your A game, and people are coming after them and trying to take them off the top pedestal.
What do you think you have to do better coming into this season than last season to get your team over that hump?
Just buying into the day-to-day process. Last year, Coach Kelly set a standard, and it really took us a minute as a team to really buy into it. So going into this year, you know, we bought into what Coach Kelly is talking about, and he knows how to win. Everywhere he's been, he's won at a high level. So really just buying into what he's talking about, and really taking over the team as it's our team. It's not what the coaches say. You know, if we see somebody go out there and messing up, you know, us as leaders should go hop on them first, because what coaches say can get repetitive. You know, players start blocking out what the coaches are saying. But if it comes from your brother, you know, it means more.
Jayden, I'm wondering if there's a piece of advice or maybe a story that you can hark back on between you and Nuss over the last year or so, just something maybe that stuck with you that he's told you, or maybe something you've seen stick with him that you've told him just about your games, and if there's anything that comes to mind.
Probably the last drive before the fourth quarter, when we're playing Alabama and we're down, he was like, hey, there's nobody else I'd rather go to battle to. That stuck with me a lot, knowing that he had my back through it all. And then for me, giving advice for him, I feel it stuck when he came in at the halftime in Georgia, and I told him, you know, just go be you. Just play ball. Don't worry about what other people are talking about. You know, if you make a mistake, you make a mistake, but just go be you and showcase the world with the talent that you have and what you can do.
Jayden, has there been a moment, whether it's in a game or a practice, since Harold Perkins came to LSU, that just really had you turn your head and say, wow, like, you know, is there something that sticks out that he's done, again, game or practice?
I mean, obviously, the Arkansas game, when he single-handedly just took over the game by himself, and what he did there was special. I haven't seen that in person. You know, he's a different type of player now, and what he did there was special, and it's phenomenal to see. I'm glad he's on my team.
Jayden, so the 2-point conversion against Alabama last year, of course, big decision, bold decision. I was going to ask, whose decision was that? And did you guys have that specific play dialed up for that specific situation in the practice leading up to the game?
I mean, we practice things like that. We practice our 2-point conversions. We practice situations like that. So we have many different plays that we could have called. Ultimately, it was Coach Kelly's decision to go for 2. I was on board with going for 2 for personal reasons, because I didn't want to give Bryce another chance to go win the game. But ultimately, it was Coach Kelly's decision to go for 2, and the coaches, and then the play call is, I mean, that's something we practice a lot. We've been practicing that a lot. I mean, we just never called it, but I knew once they called the play, we were prepared for it.
Jayden, you talked about that matchup with Alabama last year a few times now. Obviously, you also said you're going to visit some new stadiums this year. One of those is in Tuscaloosa in November. Is that a game you guys have circled on the calendar, especially with kind of everything that went into last year and it ended up getting you to Atlanta?
I would say, I mean, obviously, we're going to have to come across that game at some point. You know, it's a big time game, not for just LSU, not for just us, but for the state of Louisiana. So obviously it's a game that people look forward to. Excuse me. It's a game that people look forward to. But the game that we got circled right now is Florida State. But, you know, once that game comes across the schedule, you know, we'll be prepared for it.
Have you guys already started preparations for FSU? Is that something that's kind of taking place throughout the offseason, or will that really begin in earnest once training camp happens?
It'll probably begin as a team with the coaches once training camp begins. I personally started preparing for FSU, you know, with my quarterback coach, just going over different type of coverages and different type of things that they do. And just going back over the game last year that we had, watching that game again and seeing how can we attack the FSU defense. Obviously, I have a lot of great players coming back and got a lot of new transfers that could contribute to them. So obviously, we got to account for that. But you know, just really going back over and really starting to prep for that.
Ryan Kelly talked about your progression from start of season to end of season, and maybe your willingness to stick around a little longer in the pocket, make throws, and then get better with windows and where you threw the ball. Can you talk about your progression through last season, and maybe was there a game where things just clicked for you?
The progression, you know, getting more comfortable within the system, but I would say probably the game that clicked the most for me was probably Tennessee. Leading up to Florida the week after that, obviously had two huge passing games, both those games. But we really exploded against Florida as an offense, you know, just scoring every drive that we touched the ball, which I knew we were capable of doing. We just had to go out there and showcase with each other and showcase the world what we could do. But just the progression from start of the season to end of the season and just being able to be more comfortable with the system and within the offense.
Jade, how well do you know Joe Milton? I know you're at the Manning Passing Academy with him.
That's my dog. I met Joe for the first time at the Manning Passing Academy. He's cool. We hit it off. You know, I got a ton of respect for him. I hope he feels the same way about me. But, you know, I got a ton of respect for what he does and everything that he's been through. We actually roomed together at the Manning Passing Academy. So getting to have those talks with him and seeing how he is as a person off the field and what he's been through, you know, I got nothing but respect for him.
What kind of year do you expect him to have this year?
I expect him to have a huge year. You know, he's been waiting his turn to showcase his talents at a high level. You know, I'm excited to see what he does with it.
Have you seen an arm like that in terms of arm strength before?
I haven't. You know, I've seen him at the Manning Passing Academy throw the ball off one leg, off a knee, 50 yards over the goalpost. You know, so it's impressive. It's very hard to do.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you.